Thank you so much for joining me on today's webinar, where we'll be looking at the anatomy of a website. My name is Christina Lynch. I'm the Director of Operations at Passport Online. I hope you guys all find this webinar to be useful and helpful in making changes to your website and just improving it. I'm going to keep everybody muted during the duration of the webinar. But if you have any questions at all, please feel free to use the questions box, and I'll keep an eye on that. And if I miss anything, we should have a little bit of time at the end to answer anything I didn't get a chance to answer as it came in. So we're going to focus specifically on the basics of your site anatomy, and this is going to act as an overview of where to go within your site admin to make adjustments to these different parts, as well as giving you some ideas of what each of these different pieces of your site should include. So I have an example here showing kind of the basics of the anatomy of your site. So we're going to be looking at the body, the menu, header, page, and footer. And we'll keep referring back to this specific screen cap of a website as our example, but I'll show you some other examples as well, just to give you a good idea. So to start with, let's look at the body. Think of your website body as the frame that all the other parts live in. Similar to how your body contains your bones, muscles, and organs. Styling set at the body level will affect all aspects of your site, with the option to override those at the other body part levels. So again, for styling, when you're setting something at the body level, it's going to affect everything, but the individual parts within the body also have styling options, and that will actually override the body. Typical styling elements set at the body level include fonts, colors, and backgrounds. Having your body elements carry through on all pages helps give your site a consistent feel. Even though each page is going to be different and have different content, they should all have elements that carry across. So you're going to want to be able to see the same font, same size text, and everything like that across all of your different pages on your website, just to make sure that it looks consistent. You can set the body elements in your site by going to customize your theme. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the next site admin so I can show you how to get there. All right, so now we're looking at our next site admin here. To get to your theme, what you want to do, oops, sorry about that, is you want to select Site Configuration and Theme. So now that we're looking at the theme, you're going to want to select Customize. And you can see right now that I'm using the Earth theme on this particular website. So when we go to Customize, one of the first things you'll see, depending on your theme, is going to be that body section. So here you can see I can do things like changing the body background color. And again, that's going to go across all the pages of my website. I could add an image. And then you can also see this is where I would set my font color, default font size, and our default color for our text. Now let's talk about your menu. So just like the just like the body affects everything on your website, your header is similar, or sorry, your menu is similarly going to carry across to all pages in your website. So when you create your menu, you're going to expect to see that on every single page. Your site menu acts as the navigation element for your site visitors, and it should be really easy for them to select from. You can kind of think about your menu as the main topics of what your site contains. So whatever is most important to you and what your customers ask for most, those are the things that you should be thinking of as your menu items. Now, this is going to be up to you. You know your business best, so be mindful about what you're choosing. Speaking of which, you do want to make sure that your menu is short and concise. The more options that your customer has available, the less value they'll have. So you can lose them really easily if you have a super long menu bar where you just have a whole amount of different topics. Now you can always use submenus for like subtopics where you would actually like hover over on the menu item and see a drop down. I'll show you what that looks like in one moment here. So you don't want to have every single option be a menu item just because, again, that's going to make your customer get lost very easily. They're not going to know what to click on. You're giving them too many options. So you can see in the example I'm using here, our menu and header, which we'll look at next, are kind of like combined. So in this instance, I actually have my logo showing as part of my menu instead of my header. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So let's go ahead and switch back over to our site admin. So I'm going to actually go back to our page admin here and our sitemap. So what we're looking at here is going to be all of the pages of our website, and then it'll show you which ones are part of your menu or not. So you can always make pages that you do not have as part of your menu. To do that, all you would have to do is click on this little light bulb icon. That'll make it so the page exists, but it's not visible as part of your menu. Another thing I wanted to show you from here is how to reorder this and also make it so some of your pages are going to be sub-items to your menu instead of main menu items. To do that, I can go to Reorder Menu. Now you can see here the main menu items for this particular site are going to be the ones that are showing all the way to the left. So we can see that home, services, cruises, special interest travel, these are going to be main menu items. And then the ones showing kind of indented, these are actually going to be sub-menu items to this main menu. And you can always go ahead and switch it. So if you wanted to change something to a main menu item, just move it over to the left. Or vice versa, if you're trying to put it underneath a main menu item, just go ahead and move it over to the right. And you can change the order of them as well just by grabbing them and moving them up and down. So I'm going to show you really quickly what this looks like when we have a submenu item. So for example, you can see on this website, we have About Us as a main menu with testimonials as a submenu item. If we go to this site, you can see that some of my menu items have little arrow icons showing them on them, and that's to indicate that they have some kind of submenu selection. So again, services as main menu item, and then luggage shipping as my submenu. You can see here, I have some specific types of cruises showing under my cruises, same with special interests. The other thing I wanted to show you with menus while we're looking at your administrative area is how you can choose different types of menus. Now this has to go with your theme again. So we're going to go back into site configuration and theme. And this is going to depend on your theme. So not all of them have the same options. But if we scroll down a little bit here, you'll see menu style. And this one has the option of a menu style with the menu centered and a logo to the left. But if you click on change, you'll be able to see all of the different options. Now it's pulling your logo from your site settings. So if you do choose an option that includes a logo, you'll want to make sure you remember to go to your site settings and upload a logo to your branding agency logo. And again, we'll just look at that site again so you can see where that is. This is the logo I'm using for my website here. So the next thing we're going to look at is your header. Now, it depends on which theme you're using and kind of the setup of your website, but typically your header is going to be the first thing that a website visitor will see. And it might be a combination of a header and a menu, which is kind of like what we have showing up for ours. But you should make sure that you're treating your header as one of the most important things on your site, as far as being able to catch your customers' attention very quickly and making it super easy for them to do things like contact you. So you want to make sure you are including contact information. You don't want your customer to have to dig to look for that. So make sure that's available right off the bat in your header. This is also a good place to put site branding, like a logo. In our instance, we have it in our menu, but again, you can see that they're both showing right on top. And then lastly, one thing you'll want to think about is having some kind of call to action. Now, a call to action is basically answering the question for your customer of when they get to the website, what now? What are they supposed to be doing? So it's a good way to guide them as far as what the first thing they should be doing when they get to your website is. And it could be something like a contact us or a start your search, for example. So it's really just a way of kind of guiding your client to take their first steps. So I'm going to show you an example of one of our sites that has an option to actually search right off the bat. So let me go ahead and show you that real quick. So on this one, you can see, again, I have my logo. We have our kind of a little bit of a long menu, but then we have this call to action right off the bat that's guiding our customers to go ahead and start a search by a destination. So let's go ahead and go back into our next site admin, and I'll show you where you can find your header and also where you can see different header templates. So we've actually created some header templates for you to try to make it really easy for you to have some ideas of different layouts. So we're still in the site configuration right now, and you'll see under site configuration, we have a header option. Now, depending on which type of next site you have, you may have the option to create multiple headers. So you can actually have different headers on different pages. Let's go ahead and just as an example, add a new header so you can see what that looks like. So you can go to select from templates. And this is going to give you a bunch of different options as far as how you can organize your header and kind of the different sections for it. Now I am using a Nextsite Premium example. So there are a few different headers that we have here that are actually limited to Nextsite Premium. So that's these three here. If you are interested in Premium, let me know and I'll definitely get you some more information. But you can see for these other ones here, these are going to be available for just the Nextsite standard. Here's a good example of one showing a logo and then the contact information here, along with some social media icons. Now, if you were just wanting to edit the header you currently had, again, that would still be in the same section. You would just go to header, you would select whichever header it was that you're wanting to edit, select edit, and make your changes. Let's look at pages next. The page is the portion of your website that houses your content, and that's going to be the thing that's going to be different from one to the next. One of the things I wanted to mention about pages, as long as we're kind of talking about the different parts of a website, is talking about headings. Now you can think of headings like titles that help visitors and SEO get an idea of what content will be available on that page. I'm going to go ahead and go again back to our Nextsite admin. And I'm going to go back to our page admin, our sitemap. I wanted to kind of show you how the different headings work. So typically your page title is going to have the highest heading. That'll make sense in just one moment. Let me actually go to this custom itinerary section so I can edit that. Now, with every text block you have, you'll see that there's a title option on top. If you use this, it will automatically assign a heading to that specific title that you're adding in there. But you can always do it yourself within the site body as well, or within the section body. So here I have custom itineraries. You can see when I click on it, it's actually showing that this is a heading 3. So when I was talking about the different levels of headings, this was what I was talking about. So you'll want to think about it as heading 1 being the absolute main topic. Typically, that's going to be used for your site name. Heading 2 would be a lower topic, and then heading 3 from there. And as I mentioned, this does actually help with SEO because when your site gets crawled, it actually does look for headings. So it is a really good, easy way of giving a good idea of what your site is about. Lastly, let's talk about the footer. So the footer marks the bottom of your website, and it's typically distinguished by different background color or a dividing line, just something to kind of show that it's a little bit separate from the site page. Now, again, you're going to know your site customers best and sort of like what you want to focus on. You're the expert for that. But some of the information that you may want to consider having in your footer is going ahead and putting in your logo again, putting in your contact information. And I know I've already said that about having that in the header, but really you want to make sure your contact information is super easy for your customers to find. You don't ever want them to go on your site, have a question, and then just leave because they can't figure out how to contact you. So there is no problem with repeating information on your website, especially when it comes to something like contact information. It's definitely better to have that multiple places to make it really easy for your customers to find. Oftentimes, you'll also see things like support pages, like FAQs, privacy policy, terms and conditions. This is also a good spot to have links to your company's social media pages. One thing that you'll want to consider too is adding a section in your footer for showing off your credentials, affiliations, or awards. I'll show you actually an example of that in just one moment. I would say to be careful about that though. Just like you don't want to have a super duper long menu where you have just way too much information showing, you don't want to overload your footer with, awards or affiliations or anything like that. If you're going to have more than a few of them, what I would actually recommend doing is just adding a link to your footer that says something like, credentials, affiliations, or awards that can be clicked on that brings you to a new page to show all of them. But if you wanted to just show a few different ones, like, if you are certified through any of the different travel agency certification programs, things like that, those are good things to have in your footer. And then lastly, one of the things you can consider having in your footer is a subscription button. So if you have some kind of newsletter that you want them to sign up for, that's a good place to house it. All right, so I'm just going to show you a few different examples really quick of some different footers, just to give you an idea of how they can look. So you saw the footer we had, but let's look at, I wanted to show you Hurt and Gruten specifically because if we go to their footer, you can see where they actually have their awards showing you there, showing to you there. And this is a good example because it's not an overwhelming amount, but at a quick glance, I can see they've got some pretty impressive awards going on there. The other one I wanted to show you was Globus. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because I'd mentioned that you could have testimonials in your footer. So they have a good display here of just showing that they have a certain rating, and then you could click on this to actually see all of the testimonials that make up that rating. So again, it's all about making sure that your information that you're showing is concise with a way for customers to get more details about it if they want to. Now let's go ahead and go back to our next site admin again, and I will show you how to get to the footer. So similar to the header, our footer is going to be under Site Configuration. And you can see right under header is our footer option. And just like the header, you might have options to add additional depending on which next site tier you're at. You can select your current one to make any edits, or you can also select from our templates that are available. So you can see there's a few that you can choose from. And again, we've tried to make it easy for you and kind of give you an idea of what to put in each section. So you don't have to think about it too hard. It gives you a good starting point. And similar to the headers, again, I am using a Nextsite Premium demo account. So you can see there are a couple here that actually are limited currently to Premium. Again, if you would like some additional information about that, super happy to share that. But super easy to go ahead and switch your template and get that changed. All right, so I really hope you found my webinar on your website anatomy to be useful. If you have any questions at all, if you get stuck on anything, please feel free to reach out to our support department. I have their email listed here as well as the phone number. This webinar was recorded, so I'll also be sending a recording of this out to everybody, so you'll be able to use that as a handy reference, and also include some links to our help site to go over some of the different things that we were looking at. So we do have a few minutes left. If anybody does have any questions, go ahead and put those in the questions bar, please.